A very good evening to you. We begin here. Police Minister Bheki says property developer, contractors and subcontractors have not been forthcoming with information to assist in the investigations into the George building collapse. Today, marking a week since the multi-storey apartment block caved in, with 81 workers believed to have been on site at the time of the collapse. 19 people have lost their lives, while at least 33 remain unaccounted for. Karinda Jagmohan is still on the ground for us, and she joins us live. Karinda, good evening to you. Still a painstaking rescue and recovery effort by the teams that are on the ground. Just paint a picture for us of what it looks like there today, given yesterday's miracle.
Certainly, Oli, the search and rescue mission continues. The site itself has changed dramatically. Those large concrete slabs you saw earlier this week have now really been excavated out. Heavy machinery came in, drilled through the rubble we saw, and then ultimately that was excavated. So right now, the excavators are digging through the basement level, and now, like you said, the death toll has sadly risen to 19. But yesterday, when the rescuers found Gabriel Goamba, it was a really energized atmosphere at that time. As soon as we heard that there was a survivor breathing, everyone rushed to the scene. There was cheers at every single moment, every single part of the process that saw a development. When they found him, cheers. Then when they managed to pull him up, another round of applause. And even as he was loaded onto the ambulance and that ambulance drove away, I just saw the men and women who had been working tirelessly around us, just wiping away some tears, hugging each other, high-fiving. Then within minutes, they went back to work. The excavators started again, and they continued digging, clawing through the rubble. Some questions have been raised about how slow this process has been undertaken, and various officials have explained to us that this is because they have to work delicately, because they still believe there were survivors beneath this rubble, and even when they are looking to retrieve bodies, they have to work delicately to retrieve the body still intact, to keep the dignity of this person in place. That is critical right now. If there was a bulldozer that came in on Wednesday, we might have not seen Gabriel alive today. So that is the process and the strategy and the expertise used on the ground. In the meanwhile, as we are seeing this happen, around me there are some residents as well that have come to pray. We hear their prayer, and also just leaving some balloons as well. Here, flowers just at the site, as close as they can get, just to give some sort of memory, give some sort of hope, and honor those who have passed away in the most horrifying conditions, being stuck underground without water, limited oxygen, wondering when officials are going to come to you, when rescuers rather will come to you, slipping in and out of consciousness, waking up to realize you're still in this darkness and the dust. It must be terrifying. That is why the families are feeling agony right now, not knowing what's happened to their loved ones. Earlier on, when we were with the police minister, he spoke to some of the families, so we did accompany him. And in that little mini briefing that happened there, many families were in tears. They gathered there listening very eagerly to what the minister had to say. And when there was a time for questions to be posed, one young woman who is searching for her boyfriend, Vuyo Class, she stood up and in tears, very shakily, asked when will she get answers, because she doesn't know whether he has survived, she doesn't know whether he's passed away or he's still beneath the rubble. Some survivors have been reunited with the family, and slowly those who are being identified, those who have passed away, who are being identified, are also being reunited with the family. There's a very long process before bringing all family members to the morgue to see the bodies that have been recovered, which are, of course, in a specific state, having been under the rubble. It will be traumatizing for them. So forensic pathology services are conducting a double verification process where they are trying to identify the names of the survivor, the names of those who have been pulled out the rubble, of those who have passed on, looking at images that might have been provided by families to try and ascertain whose body this might be, and then reaching out to the specific family to identify their loved ones. That is the ongoing process. But a young woman, Owenzela Khalakhala, spoke to the minister, and she had this plea. Take a listen.
We need to know exactly what's going on, or allow us to go there inside and see whether is the process, because now I don't know what to believe. Because tomorrow is gonna be the second, it's going to start a second week. Today is making a week. We don't know nothing.
This heartbreaking plea of agony and despair that is echoed among many family members comes while various officials in South Africa are pleading for the property owners, the contractors and some contractors to actually just come with a moral obligation and speak to the family members that are in this agony of not knowing where their loved ones are, the breadwinners in their families are, the mothers and fathers are. At the same time, the minister has come forward to say they're not cooperating with police. Take a listen to what he had to say.
Well, the developer has been identified, a contract has been identified, and then together with the 6 other subcontractors that were subcontracted by the main company. Those are the people that must help us. Who are those people that have employed and sent them to this site? Indeed, they are working with them in terms of information, but if the information is not forthcoming, the police, they are instructed to uphold and enforce the law.
Has there been a scenario where information hasn't been forthcoming?
Up to this point, no information that has been forthcoming. In terms of that has been requested to say, give us the documents and all that. Not only that, I'm told that they have not shown their faces with the people that are there, which I find it very much inhuman for them not to go there and all. I'm not judging anybody, but it's nothing wrong to just go and say, look, we can't talk, we sympathize with you, we'll work with you. This thing of talking, the compensation and all, we haven't reached that level. We have really reached the level to say to you have lost the human being, you have lost your relatives here, we're doing all we can.
Karinda Jagmohan, the police minister perhaps touching on what many are asking in the country right now as to where is the developer, where is the contractor, the people that were actually leading workers on site. The name Theuns Kruger, it keeps being quoted in the media as the owner, or should we say the CEO of the actual contractor, Leatel Development. But I can't tell you what Theuns Kruger looks like, and I doubt that you have seen his face either. Where are these people?
That is the question that many people want to know following this calamity where 81 people went into a building and that collapsed at 2 p.m. on Monday, and 19 people have died so far while 33 people remain accounted for. Yet, as the minister said, the no-show by those who are responsible for this construction is completely inhumane. We don't know at this point where those owners of these companies are, and at this point we have heard that those companies that have been listed as those who are working at the site, their websites have been taken down. According to representatives of the Department of Labour and Employment, they say that when they went to the addresses given by the companies, they were not there. Some of the companies have sent out statements from their legal representatives to some media houses. One of the property developer, Neo Victoria Developments, telling one media house through its attorney that none of their employees were at the scene. Instead, they had contractors that had their employees there and then giving condolences to families. We've not seen them here. Leatel as well giving out a statement saying that they send their condolences to the families, that they're going to be part of some of the recovery processes. We've not seen them as well. There are 6 subcontractors as well here. I've not seen them as well. So we don't know where the people are that is responsible for employing several or dozens of people and allowing them to enter the site. At this stage as well, the samples that are collected here will form part of the investigation, the type of concrete that we're seeing, the type of materials used, as well as what will form part of the investigation is with regards to how this building was constructed, the type of approvals as well going forward, and whether or not there were actually certificates, safety certificates that were supposed to be conducted here, and that is critical for such a building in place. And that is really the regulations in place when any building is supposed to be coming up. But this is supposed to form part of the investigation, and as you heard the minister say, they've not been forthcoming with information. So that is critical, and we have this conversation. Well, I can hear some church members gathered around the community hall where the family is, where the young woman you just heard is right now, just trying to pray, give them strength. Some residents have gathered around us who've left the balloons here, who've left the flowers here, again trying to give them strength. So you see an entire community of George come together, many South Africans, many people watching, praying, even very emotional, crying as they see and hear the voices of the families, but yet we've not heard from the companies that were supposed to be involved here. So at this point, I did ask the minister after that interview or during that interview about a warrant of arrest. And he went on to say that not at this stage. They're still trying to work together. They're trying to work as far as possible as they can to just get information about who was in the building, because he says at this point they're not even clarified about the numbers, because it seems that there were various forms going around about who was in this building too. So that also proves that perhaps there was something more that was happening here that the contractors need to answer to, but we have not heard from them. So that is the conversation that needs to happen going forward. There are going to be more public officials on the scene tomorrow. The Minister of Public Works is going to be here, and so we expect him to come forward with more answers as well in terms of the pressure put by national leaders on the investigation to ensure that it's expedited, considering that this is being described as a national calamity. Some of the disaster personnel that have been on the scene say this is one of the worst disasters they've seen in South Africa in terms of the structural collapse of a building and how many people remain unaccounted for. Tomorrow marks a week since this disaster has happened, yet we're yet to hear from those responsible for the safety of the 81 people who entered this building on Monday a week ago.
Karinda Jagmohan, thank you very much. Live for us in George.